Hello and welcome back to the Middle Ground. This is episode 21 and episode 9 of Fat Loss Foundations, where I'm covering everything in a 10-part series to help you understand fat loss a little bit better, get you better results, and lower the barriers to entry. Today, we're going to be covering the top 10 mistakes that you might be making that are impacting your fat loss, stopping you from losing fat, or making it harder in general. I will blast through these. I'll try my best to blast through these because, again, I don't want these episodes to be too long. But this is the second to last Fat Loss Foundations episode that we've got. Mental. Absolutely mental. We've nearly done 10 weeks of Fat Loss Foundations. So you've got a backlog of episodes to watch and to listen to. Let's dive right in. Number 1. Cutting your calories too low. It's so easy to do. When you think fat loss, you think calorie deficit. Naturally, hopefully, that's what you think. If you don't, get to know. But you think calorie deficit. And for some people, a lot of people actually, that then leads to their head going, well, the lower, the better, surely, right? If I need my calories to be low, more lower than my output to lose fat, the lower my calories are, the more fat I'm going to lose quicker. And while biologically that is the case, we are not purely biological beings in that we don't act like machines, right? We have emotions, we have habits, we react. So it's not a simple equation of lower in and then faster fat loss. While theoretically it is, it's not really. Because you will have, number 1, no energy. Which means, number 2, your performance is going to drop. Your training in the gym is going to drop. Your motivation, your wanting to do anything will drop. You won't want to go for the walk. You won't want to track your food. You'll have a lower general amount of energy and life force to give to things. It will also only be sustainable in short bursts. I have no problem with large calorie deficits, with big drops in calories. However, you've got to approach them with the respect that they demand, which is they should only be used in short, sharp bursts. Right? A rapid fat loss phase is a thing that you can do. If instead of being in a deficit for, let's say, 12 weeks, you'd rather get in and out in 4 weeks, 6 weeks, you don't have that much weight to lose, it's just to tidy up, you can get in a big deficit, maybe a kilo a week, and then in a month, you're down 4 kilos, rather than, maybe 2 kilos. If you do it for 2 months, 8 weeks, you could be down 8 kilos. If you've only got 8 kilos to lose and you'd rather do it quickly, it's not the end of the world. But the longer you're in a sharp deficit, the more you will suffer. So for most people, it's not something I recommend, especially if this is your first foray into fat loss. It's hard to adhere to. Very hard to adhere to. And it will lead to cravings and it will lead to binges for most people. Again, if you're not an experienced if you haven't lost fat before, particularly in a regimented way, in a structured way, I don't recommend going straight in for a drastic deficit. Understand what it's like to be in a deficit. Understand how your body reacts when it's hungry. I've been in enough deficits now that I know how my body reacts when it's hungry and how hard I can push and how to keep my habits up when I have little energy, right? How to get my steps and all of these things. I don't recommend doing it straight away. So that's mistake number 1, cutting your calories too low. Don't be in a massive deficit for your first ever introduction to fat loss. I don't recommend it. Get your habits in place, and then later down the line, if you decide that you want to push it and do a rapid fat loss phase, you go for it. But understand that it's going to be harder. Number 2, similar but different, doing too much too soon. Many people have a laundry list of things that they think they need to do to lose fat or to achieve their physique goals, to tone up, right? So, for example, it might look like solid sleep, calorie deficit, hit your protein, train 3 times a week, get your steps in, manage your stress, drink your water. There's so much. Now, I do every single one of those things, but I didn't do them all at once. I've introduced them slowly over time to give myself time to adjust. If I went from doing nothing and someone came to me and said, you've got to do all of those things right now, start them all at the level that you want to sustain them at, I'd be fucked. I'd be absolutely fucked. I couldn't introduce all those things into my life at once. It would be way too much of an overhaul, especially if you're not doing any of them. You need to introduce things slower than you might want. You might have to make progress slower at the start than you might want. Because every good building has a solid foundation. You might introduce tracking your calories and getting your steps in and trying to hit your sleep. Those might be your first 3 foundational pillars that you build of your building. You can introduce 3 at a time. That's not the end of the world. And then you can, once you've got those solid, after a month or so, introduce the next, introduce the next, introduce the next. And you're building these habits. You're building this building brick by brick, but you've got a strong foundation. You're not trying to introduce everything at once. You can't have the top of the pyramid before you've built the bottom. You've got to introduce things slower than you might want because you need a strong foundation so that it doesn't all crumble under the slightest change in routine, the slightest issue that pops up. You've got to learn to adjust to this shit. Number 3, no protein focus or just not hitting your protein in general. Massive mistake. Massive mistake. Rather than just you being hungry, which it will make you hungry and probably lead to overeating. Protein's the most satiating macronutrient. We know this. It fills you up. You need it. Absolutely need it. So rather than just that, it's also the performance side of things and the muscle side of things. If you're not consuming enough protein and you're in a deficit, you will not be holding on to the muscle you have worked so hard to build or the muscle that you want to keep on your body. You want muscle. Even if you don't feel like you want muscle, if your goal is to look better, you want muscle. You want to keep hold of the muscle you have on your body. Even if you don't want to look jacked, you still need the muscle. You need to be hitting your protein. 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Can go a little bit lower than that. Can definitely go higher than that if you want. It should be your target range for every single day. You should be aiming for a target range every single day. And it will become part of your routine. I don't think about hitting my protein now. It's not something that crosses my mind. It is just what I do. It is just how I eat. It's a part of my identity. It is how I act. Every meal, I'm thinking, where's my protein coming from? And I know that sounds really bro-y, but it should be absolutely everyone. Everyone on the earth should be thinking about getting their protein in. And people don't. People still don't. Please, if your goal is to lose fat and get a better physique, hit your fucking protein. Number 4, ignoring steps. And I will have a quick little sip of my Monster. Wonderful. So, number 4, ignoring your steps. If you don't get your steps in, fat loss will be harder. Very simply. It is a low effort, high return on investment activity. It is incredible. There's little to no recovery cost. You can do it almost anywhere. You get outside, you get fresh air. It's a double whammy. If you go out in the morning, spike your cortisol, see sunlight, get awake, get ready for the day. If you go in the evening, you're seeing the sky dim, you're setting your body up for sleep. It's a perfect activity. It is the perfect activity, I think. You know, anywhere, anytime, largely. Brilliant. No equipment needed. If you are wondering why the scale isn't moving and you're not having a consistent step target, but you're hitting your nutrition consistently, that's why. That is why. Because your activity varies so much on a daily basis. If some days you get 4,000 and some days you get 10,000, you can't expect sustainable fat loss. You can't expect to lose fat week on week. Because there's this massive variation in something that should be consistent for you. It might even lead to you having to drop your calories super low to make progress. It comes back to the old equation. You either increase your activity or decrease your calories. That's how you're going to lose fat. If you've got a high level of general activity through getting your steps in, you're not going to have to lower your calories as much. You're not going to be as hungry. Walking doesn't spike your appetite like other activities does for most people. Please get your steps in. Please get your steps in. You are missing out on the best aid for fat loss if you don't get your steps in and have a consistent step target. It doesn't have to be 10,000. It can be less than 10,000. It can be more than 10,000. I aim for 10,000 because it's simple and it requires me to push a little bit every day. Without that step goal, I wouldn't be getting 10,000. It's not something I do as a byproduct. I have to think. I have to go out for walks. I have to plan. Now for you, that might be 6,000, 8,000. It might be 15,000. You might, if you're a postman, you might get 20,000 on a day without even noticing, right? Just part of your job. So there's no be-all end-all step target. I talked about it in one of the previous episodes. The step target of 10,000 came around as a Japanese advertisement for a pedometer, I believe. So it doesn't have any bearing in, health, apart from the fact that it's good to have a high step count because you're getting general movement. Fat loss is going to be easier. Anyway, enough time on that. Let me move on. This one, I'm not going to come into from a bro perspective, but it's relying on motivation. Now, my perspective on motivation is that if you act, you are motivated. There is no action without motivation. Very simply. Whatever you do, you are motivated to do. Even if you didn't feel like doing it, if you did it, you were motivated to do it. That is how we work as humans. Now, it's not to not rely on motivation, but it's to be smart about motivation. So, you need to make things fun. You need to reward yourself. There's a bit of a model of motivation, and there's 4 aspects that we can bring in to make you more motivated to do things that you might not be motivated to do. And that is mastery, enjoyment, goals, and values. Those are the 4 things that are important to your motivation. So, what do I mean by that? Mastery. How can you tell that you are getting better at the thing? Enjoyment. How can you make the thing more fun, more enjoyable? You're more likely to do things that you enjoy. So you're more likely to do things you can tell you're getting better at and things that you enjoy. Then goals. How does that activity bring you closer towards your goals? If you understand how that action plays into you achieving your goals, such as training for fat loss or tracking your food for fat loss, you'll be more motivated to do it because you see the outcome that it's moving you towards. And then finally, values. How does that goal or how does that action align with your values? Again, if it's training and your value is to be strong, to be there for the people around you, to achieve this fat loss goal or physique goal, if those are your values, it's easy to see how that action might align with those values. And the more you see how that aligns, the more likely you are to do it, the more motivated you will be to do it because you understand it on a deeper level rather than just, I don't want to do this. You zoom out, you look at the big picture. How can you make it more fun? How can you tell you're getting better at it? How does it align with your goals and push you closer to them? And how does it align with your values? Those are your 4 sides of motivation. Use them. Use that. Work out those things. And you will be more likely to do things. If you tie the results and inputs, if you tie the results to the inputs, you will understand why you're doing things, be more motivated to do them. So yes, why motivation might be lower at times, you can make yourself more motivated to do things that you weren't previously. Let's move on. Number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, number 6. Changing plans too much. Changing plans on a weekly basis. Massive mistake. What are you doing? What are you doing, mate? You can't be doing that. If we're talking about strength training specifically or resistance training or any type of training plan really, if you haven't been on it for a minimum of 12 weeks, don't change it. You're not used to the exercises. You probably haven't seen too much progression. You're not used to the routine. Give yourself time to adjust. Give your body time to adapt. Then after 3 months, if you're not enjoying it and you're not seeing the progress you want, and the progress that you want to see is reasonable, you can change it. You can ask your coach for a different program. I won't change my clients' programs before 3 months, generally, unless there's an exercise here and there that they want swapping out or something they can't get access to, whatever it might be. But if it's just within 3 months and they're saying, I'm not making the progress I want to be making, you're staying on it. You're staying on it. If you still get to 3 months and your expectations have been adjusted and they're not met, then cool. We can have a look. We can change. But don't go change your plans weekly. Don't go on Instagram and go, I saw this person doing this workout. Let me try that. No, man. You don't need workouts. You need a program. You need a structured program that you show up week in, week out, progress over time, and brings you closer towards your goals. That's it. That's it. Change takes time to achieve, and small tweaks over time, absolutely fine. Small tweaks here and there to your program, changing an exercise, doing this, doing that, very small, but still the general plan, awesome. If these small tweaks keep you engaged, cool. But massive program changes, frequently, not a good idea. You need to give your body time to adjust and adapt. Number 7, weekend blowouts. Your weekend will make or break your fat loss progress. And this isn't me saying you can't go out and do social things and enjoy your time with friends. I do, even when I'm in a fat loss phase, because it's important to me that I keep my life a thing that I enjoy and that I do. Life is important. Life needs to be lived. There's things more important than your fat loss, okay? But you need to remain in control and aligned. Very important, aligned. If you go and blow out your entire fucking weekend, you can't expect to lose fat. It's as simple as that. If the whole weekend you spend fucking around, drinking, eating wherever you want, and then it comes to Monday and you wonder, I haven't made fat loss progress in the last couple of weeks. No wonder, man. It's a scientific equation. If you put yourself in a surplus that is big enough to erase your weekly deficit, of course you're not going to lose fat. You need to be logical about this shit. That's not even to say you can't go out and drink, but be sensible. Track your drinks beforehand. Make sure that you're in a deficit still. Now, when it comes to the weekend, there are a few things that you can do that I do and do with my clients. Number 1, bring yourself up to maintenance. If you've been in a deficit all week and you want a little bit more freedom on the weekend to do the things you enjoy, bring yourself up to maintenance, still track it. Still track your food. Takes the pressure off being in a deficit, allows you to maintain the deficit that you've kept in the week, still allows you to go and enjoy yourself a little bit more than if you were in a deficit. Very simple. Anchoring habits. Have things that keep you in some sort of routine, whether it's going for a walk in the morning or having a high protein breakfast. Whatever that is for you, that strong anchoring habit that allows you to keep moving forward, that shows you that the weekend still has some sort of structure and routine, stops you from blowing out, do it. Show up for yourself. Have an anchoring habit. And remind yourself of your goals. Stay aligned. You haven't set these goals because they don't mean anything to you. They obviously mean something to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have set them. So when it comes to the weekend and you want to blow out, remind yourself of where you want to be. And is that action going to get you closer to that? It's very important that you remain aligned and goal-oriented. Again, not to say you can't enjoy yourself, but please remind yourself of the progress that you want to make. Otherwise, you can't expect the weekend to be a time that you make progress. It probably is going to be a time that you erase progress. You've got to remain aligned, got to remind yourself of your goals. Very important. They obviously mean something to you. You wouldn't have set them if they didn't. So, show up for yourself. 8. 8? Yes, 8. Liquid calories. This will be quick. Liquids contain calories, sauces, oils, drinks. Track them. Otherwise, you might have hundreds of calories a day coming into your diet and coming into your body that you don't know about, that you haven't even thought about. Track your fucking liquid calories. All of them. If it crosses your lips as a general rule of thumb, track it. Drinks, sauces, oils. Track them. They do creep in. And if you, for example, very simple fix here. If you consume a lot of carbonated beverages that aren't sugar-free, switch to the sugar-free versions. Your fat loss will be a million times easier. Guarantee you that. If you drink a litre of Diet Coke or a litre of Coke, that's a lot of calories. Drink a litre of Diet Coke, you're dandy. You've just enjoyed yourself. Absolutely no impact on your fat loss. Maybe even a positive one because you've hit a craving, haven't consumed any calories. How awesome is that? Oh, whoa, I'm going to get cancer. No, you're not. No, you're not. There's never been any decent research done in humans that has demonstrated a cancerous effect or any really negative effect of artificial sweeteners on humans. The studies that you are seeing, fear-mongering about, they're done on rats or mice in a lab, and they've been injected with, let's say, 1,000 times the recommended human dose, and those rats have gotten cancer or died. There's a shock. They've been injected with 1,000 times the recommended dose for a human, and it's a rat. No shit. It's not going to survive. You do that with water, it's going to die, okay? The poison's in the dose. Don't be stupid. 9. Expecting perfection. You will slip up. You cannot expect to not slip up. However, the thing that will separate you from the people that don't make long-term progress is the speed at which you can recover from those slip-ups. That's the most important thing here. It's not negating slip-ups. It's getting back to your normal functioning as soon as possible. If you overeat one day, Don't let that feed into the next day. The next day, you get up, you continue as normal. You go for your walk, you have your breakfast, you go and train, whatever that day looks like for you on a normal, progress-driven basis. You do. You make your next decision a positive one. You pick up from where you left off, remove the emotion around the event, and move on. That's it. You can't expect to be perfect, but you can set yourself a standard that you recover when it's not. When you slip up, you crack on as normal on the next given opportunity. And finally, not planning ahead. There will be, as the same with slip-ups, there will be things that crop up in your calendar, in your diary, that you can't avoid, that stress you out, that might make fat loss a little bit harder. This is when planning comes in. Planning is very important. It's something I help my clients with. Something very specifically, actually, I helped my client with this past weekend. She had a afternoon tea with her work on a Friday afternoon. And she came to me and said, what am I going to do? I won't be able to, the food there, I'm probably going to overeat. This afternoon, tea was at 3 p.m. I made it very clear to her that she needs to eat her normal breakfast and her normal lunch. Eat your normal lunch at 12 or 1 or whenever it is so that you are not starving. Her old instinct, her old actions might have been to not eat lunch so that she doesn't overeat the afternoon tea. That is a backwards approach. You will fuck yourself. You'll get to afternoon tea. You'll be absolutely starving. You'll be ravenous. You'll eat everything in sight. You'll feel guilty. You'll fuck it. You won't feel good. You won't make progress. However, you eat your breakfast. You eat your lunch. You go to the afternoon tea. You're not that hungry. She sent a photo into the coaching group chat of the 2 sweet things that she put aside for herself. She ate those. She enjoyed them. She cracked on with the event. She went home. She had dinner. Enjoyed her weekend. Absolutely fine. Nothing. No impact. No negative impact on her fat loss. Because she knew there was an event. She brought it to me. We worked together to overcome it. You don't need a coach to do this, but it helps. But if you can plan around the events that crop up, whether it's dinners out, you look at the menu beforehand. You understand what you're going to get. You create a bit of a calorie buffer. Boom. Absolutely boom. You don't need to overcomplicate this shit, but you do need to plan. If you don't plan, you can't expect to move forward, succeed. If you're winging everything, flying by the seat of your pants, you're not going to make great progress. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your plan doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to execute it perfectly. But having some sort of plan as to how you're going to approach something and it not going 100% to plan is still going to be better than you not putting a plan in place and you just winging it on the day because you're not holding yourself to any standard. Plan, execute. Regardless of how that execution ends up going, you've probably done better than you would have done otherwise. Now, that is absolutely everything in terms of the top 5 fat loss mistakes I see. A lot. So have a think. Identify which 2 or 3 of those you fall into and action on them. Act on them. Right? If you have your calories too low, smaller deficit. If you're ignoring your steps, set a step target and work to hit it. If you're not focusing on your protein, focus on increasing your protein. Identify 2 or 3 mistakes that you find yourself falling into that you think are affecting your progress and action them. Work on fixing them. Doesn't have to be perfect. But you working to fix them will be better than you ignoring them. That has been episode 9 of Fat Loss Foundations. I hope it's been helpful. Hopefully there was something in there that resonated with you. Like, subscribe, comment, share the podcast. Follow me on Instagram at JudeVenCoaching. This has been the Middle Ground Podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for your time. And I will see you all in the next one, the last episode of Fat Loss Foundations. See you later.